I have dug through the comments that you guys have left on some of my previous videos, and I have seen there's been a lot of confusion about the $10,000 EIDL grant. Who gets it? When do you get it? Do you have to reapply? All this and more in today's video. Hello and welcome to the Stephen Carlson Show. I'm Stephen Carlson. I'm a tech entrepreneur, real estate investor, author, YouTuber, volunteer paramedic, and, well, Bonnie's down here. Clyde, I think he's downstairs. Now, before I go any further, a quick reminder. As my regular viewers will know, I have a team of outstanding lawyers that I keep chained up in my basement. They get a little bit rowdy whenever I make a video, and the only way to calm them down is to give a little quick disclaimer. The opinions in this video are exactly that, they're opinions. This video is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a lawyer, I have no financial or legal certifications, this is not financial, legal, or tax advice, blah, 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 blah. Whew, you get the point. If there's any questions that I do not cover in this video, comment down below with the hashtag TeamEIDL, that is one word, team, T-E-A-M-E-I-D-L, and, of course, include your question. Also, please check out my previous video where I covered you can get the equivalent of 40 free lottery tickets every single week. The link is down in the description below. For some reason, there's been some confusion of the requirements for the full $10,000 EIDL grant, with some YouTubers giving, at least in my opinion, incorrect information. Currently, as the law stands, yes, you must be located in a low-income community to receive the $10,000 EIDL grant and take a second loan from the EIDL program under the targeted program. I made this clear on pretty much day one when fellow YouTubers were giving out false information here for some reason. I'm not sure why they were mistaken, as the law was pretty clear. I think they were just basically creating clickbait videos promising you something that you could not get just because they wanted people to click and watch their video. But do not just take my word for it. Here's an attorney saying the same thing.
So the term covered entity means an eligible entity that, number one, applies for a loan under Section 7B2 of the Small Business Act during the covered period, including before the date of enactment of this act. This means that this includes everyone who previously applied and anyone who applies in the future. Number two, is located in a low-income community. Number three, has suffered an economic loss of greater than 30%. And number four, employs not more than 300 employees.
I have another video that covers how to determine if you are in a low-income community. The link is down in the description. Does this stipulation on low-income communities suck? Yeah, it's total, and I can only guess it was placed there by politicians, so they claim that they are sending money to these communities and not rich neighborhoods. The problem with this logic is very few small businesses located within rich neighborhoods are actually owned by the rich. Do you really think someone that's worth $100 million or more owns, runs, and operates the local gas station or sandwich shop? Hell no. These small businesses are struggling just the same, if not more, than lower income community-run businesses due to higher rents, costs of living, utilities, and more. It would have been far better to add a cap on the business's net worth rather than arbitrarily limiting it to EIDL grants and loan program only to specific zip codes. Many politicians have voiced their disagreement with the low-income community requirement. Many of whom said they never even were told about this requirement, as they only had a few hours to read the thousands of pages in the bill before voting on it. Many of these same politicians are now vowing to propose yet another EIDL stimulus bill later in the month or the beginning of February. Now, before I get to the next frequently asked question, I want to cover a side note here for a second. Ladies and gentlemen, 2020 and 2021 will go down in history as one of the largest redistributions of wealth from the working class to the rich. I know, Clyde, it's bad. Here, sit down. Make no mistake about it, while many Americans are struggling to keep their small businesses open, pay the rent, pay the mortgage, the utilities, and put food on the table, there are a select few that are building their fortunes. I don't see this as an insult against those who saw an opportunity to make money. Heck, to be honest, I did very well financially in 2020, and I added 7 figures plus to my portfolio and net worth multiple times in the past year. Nor do I say this to brag. I say this to draw attention to the fact that while the DC swamp has tried its best to keep us down, Those of us that are smart enough to seek out information like this on YouTube, we're all going to prosper. The $10,000 EIDL grants are lifelines to small businesses that were shut down and unable to operate of no fault of their own. The struggle is real, and many of these businesses will never return. The sad fact, nothing said by anyone on YouTube will change that fact. But please keep the big picture in mind. I release multiple videos per week that show you how I, and many others far smarter than myself, have made millions. Disappointingly, many of these videos get very few views. I think it's because people are struggling so much right now, and their sole focus is on surviving. I understand that, but while you're struggling, the rich are getting richer. If you have not already, now is the time to invest in building your net worth. Of course, I would be grateful if you used one of my affiliate links to Webull to get your 4 free stocks, or Yada to get your equivalent of 40 free lottery tickets. Check out my video how I explain that. However, I want to make it clear, even if you choose a different service or you don't use my links, you need to do something now. Do not wait. Those that wait will miss out on our generation's most significant wealth building opportunity. Don't let the crooks in DC, which, as you know, are financed by the ultra-rich, don't let them take away your future. After this video is over, please make sure you watch some of my other videos where I show you how you can make real generational wealth. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox for a minute and get back to EIDL news. If you watch YouTube finance channels, you may have noticed a little spat between me, Kevin, and Jason regarding what businesses qualify for the full $10,000, and if there is a $1,000 per employee requirement. Once again, I covered this a few weeks ago, and for my non-lawyer brain, the language in the act is very clear. If you meet the requirements to be eligible, you will receive the full $10,000. Presuming that you meet these requirements, you are going to be entitled to the full $10,000 EIDL grant, plus the full EIDL program loan. If you previously applied for the EIDL during the CARES Act and you did not get your full $10,000, it is now incumbent upon the SBA to contact you and provide you the entire $10,000 grant amount. If during the first CARES Act phase of EIDL, they gave you a partial grant, they now owe you the remainder. For example, if they gave you $4,000 as a grant, now you're going to get $6,000. If they gave you nothing before, you get $10,000. And lastly, if they gave you the full $10,000 before, you get nothing extra now. To be clear, this is not an additional $10,000. This brings me to the next most common question. Do you need to reapply? Well, this gets a little bit sticky.
With regard to the order of processing of these requests under Section 331, the first priority would go to those covered entities that previously applied and received a grant which was less than $10,000, or previously applied and were unable to receive the grant because the funds ran out. Subsection F of Section 331 also requires the administrator to notify those covered entities that I just mentioned that they may be able to obtain additional grant funding.
The law is pretty clear how Congress intends for the SBA to process the money. And it strongly suggests that if you already applied, and of course are eligible for additional funds, the SBA must contact you. Of course, we know from the CARES Act debacle how our friends at the SBA just love to make up their own rules and ignore the law. So only time will tell what exactly happens here. And now this brings me to the final question. If we are required to apply, when do we apply? Well, this is a bit of a mystery right now, as the SBA has not provided any guidance, nor have they reopened the portal under the new terms. Until they release some sort of information, it's kind of a little bit of a guessing game. We expect they should have more information this week or the beginning of next week at the absolute latest, as they are running up against their legally required deadline. Once this information is released, I will have an update video, so make sure you are subscribed and click the notification bell. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.